Hey everybody, it's RRPG here. It's March 29th, 2018, and welcome to RRPG Side-Quests. One of the biggest JRPGs that is releasing this year in 2018 is of course going to be Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age. And it's going to get its English localization for both the United States as well as Europe, and we will be getting that game in September to be exact, as Square Enix announced today that, or yesterday, whichever, but they recently announced that Dragon Quest XI is going to be coming for on September 4th, 2018 to the West on both the PlayStation 4 and the PC, making it the first time that a mainline Dragon Quest game has appeared on the PC platform. Now, I did not say the first time a Dragon Quest game, a quote-unquote Dragon Quest game, appears on PC or through Steam, because remember, we had Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 appear on Steam before this announcement. So that's not so Dragon Quest XI is not the first time a Dragon Quest game appears on that platform, but a mainline installment, if you get what I mean, or with that clarification. Now, with the PlayStation 4 and the PC release of the game, they're not only localizing the game for everybody's standards, but for the second time in a row, Square Enix is going to be bringing about voiceover work for the Western version of that game. Now, when I say second time, the first time was with Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King on the PlayStation 2. You know, the game that Level 5 worked on for Square Enix, along with the team who is responsible for the work on most of the Dragon Quest games, which consist of Koichi Sugiyama, Akira Toriyama, and Yuji Horii. So, yeah, that was the first time where we got to hear English voice work for that game, but for Dragon Quest XI, we're going to get that same wish. Now, I would assume that they're probably going to be using European voiceovers who can speak in English like what they did with, or like what they have done for most Dragon Quest games up to this point, or they could get English voiceovers from over here in the United States to make them have a European dialect to their characters. So that ought to be pretty awesome. Now, of course, when I said about the platform's release, they are bringing about the game on the PlayStation 4 and PC to the West, but a lot of people were also hoping whether or not if we were actually going to get the game on the 3DS to come over to the West, since, you know, Dragon Quest XI did get a 3DS version alongside the PlayStation 4 version. And the answer to that is, unfortunately not. Because Square Enix did announce today about their reasoning why they're not bringing the 3DS version of the game over to the West, as it's just exclusive in Japan only. Not now, unless if Nintendo pulls some strings to get the 3DS version over in the United States and European territory, they would have to be the ones to publish the game over here in the Western side or overseas side, which they have for most Dragon Quest games in this day and age, but for right now, it looks like we're not going to get the 3DS version. But let me go ahead and explain to you what Square Enix had to say, or list off to you what Square Enix had to say about in relation to this news. And this is another bit from Siliconera as well. And of course, IGN was the one who managed to get the comment from Square Enix about why the 3DS version is not coming. So Siliconera is giving highlight to IGN on this comment. But anyway, Dragon Quest XI is arriving on PS4, and for the first time ever for the series on PC. First time ever. Dude, get your facts right, because it's not the first Dragon Quest game that comes out on PC. I just clarified that. But anyways, if you're talking about mainline installment, then good job. However, the 3DS version won't be coming westward at all, and the Switch version will arrive much later according to a report from IGN. In a statement to IGN, Square Enix said, "Our aim with Dragon Quest XI and the Dragon Quest brand is to grow the audience in the West. From a business point of view, it made strategic sense to release the 3DS version in Japan in 2017. For the West in 2018, it made the most sense to focus on the PlayStation 4 and PC Steam platforms." The Square Enix representative also said that the Switch version would definitely not be released in 2018, which is unfortunate, and could end up being released much later. Dragon Quest XI is available in Japan for PlayStation 4 and Nintendo 3DS. The game will arrive in North America and Europe on September 4th, 2018 for PlayStation 4 and PC via Steam. The Nintendo Switch version will release later. Now, if this means that we are going to get the Nintendo Switch version to come over to the West as well, where Nintendo is most likely going to be publishing that version instead, then I believe we have nothing to worry about. But yeah, it just, for a lot of you people who are wondering, or just kind of confused as to why no 3DS version is coming over to the West, and based on what Square Enix had to say, I think it makes not only the most makes sense from a business perspective, but it also makes sense from the consumer perspective, because we have to remember that right now Nintendo's strategy when it comes to the Nintendo Switch is to cater more towards grown-ups, whereas the 3DS, they're catering more of their games towards kids. And Nintendo has tried to shift this focus with the 3DS being more kid-friendly, whereas the Nintendo Switch is more aimed for the older audiences. Now, granted, there are games that do appeal to kids on there, like Super Mario Odyssey, and even the new Kirby Star Allies, and even the upcoming Yoshi game that's coming out on the Nintendo Switch sometime this year, based on what Nintendo said from E3 last year. But as they said, it would just make sense that they keep the system kid-oriented friendly in the Western side. So releasing a JRPG like Dragon Quest, which, you know, all Dragon Quest games have a really big learning curve when it comes to the mainline installments. So releasing those for little kids in this day and age on a system like the 3DS, it probably might not be the best strategy, because you got to remember, I would say when it comes to little kids, there are very, very few who really get into JRPGs and who really like to get into JRPGs that have really big learning curves like the Dragon Quest games. So, you know, if they were to release the game on the 3DS for the Western audiences, then it will only be picked up by a small vocal minority. But of course, there are those who are older than them who really still enjoy to play games on the 3DS, will probably go ahead and buy it anyway. But I would say you're pretty much going to be brown bread in trying to get an official localized version of the 3DS game to come over here. Now, for it coming on the Nintendo Switch over here in the West, that would actually make more sense. So that way, you're playing the same experience with what you're getting on the PlayStation 4 and Steam on the Nintendo Switch version. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. I mean, I know you pretty much like the chibi art style of the Dragon Quest games since, you know, Dragon Quest VII, the Dragon Quest VII Remake on the 3DS, as well as Dragon Quest IX on the DS. They were very appreciative for their chibi art styles, and they're bringing about that same chibi art style for the 3DS, or what they brought for the 3DS version of that game when it released in Japan. But from a business perspective, if Square Enix is going to try to grow the Dragon Quest brand from overseas, then they're going to have to make sacrifices, and unfortunately for you guys, this is not going to bode well for you. But for me personally, it's just, I know it's not going to please a lot of people, but I think what Square Enix is doing possibly makes the most business sense, and makes the most sense from a consumer perspective as well. Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age, will be arriving here in the West on the PlayStation 4 and the PC through Steam on September 4th, 2018. And you can guarantee that I'm going to be picking that game up. Whether or not, if I pick it up on the PlayStation 4 or Steam, I'll definitely pick up one of those. Or hey, I may even double dip, who knows. But if they release a collector's edition of Dragon Quest XI on the PlayStation 4, then you can guarantee that I'm going to be picking that up from the Square Enix online store, and then do an unboxing for all of you. Since I really do like JRPGs that are put out by Square Enix that have collector's editions like that I can do an unboxing, because I really do enjoy some of their packaging with what they put out for those collector's editions most of the time. But if they just did collector's editions where it's just mostly a voucher for free DLC, then yeah, you could just skip collector's editions or just kick them out the door, because they really have no purpose whatsoever. But anyway, guys, as I said in the previous video, I'm not even covering a comment from the last video in this video, as I will be covering that in the next one, which is tomorrow, as well as the one that you guys post in the comment section today. So whatever you have to say, or whatever question you have that's in relation to not only this game or this news article, or whatever you have that's a general question about Japanese role-playing games in general, then be sure to leave them down in the comments. So that way, whatever comment I pick from not only the previous video, but in this video, I will highlight that in the next video, and then get your channel featured in the description of this video. But anyway, guys, if you like what you see, then be sure to hit that like button down beneath this video, as well as leaving your feedback down in the comments. Also, if you really did like what you see and you wish for more of this content, then be sure to hit that subscribe button underneath this video, as well as that bell button right next to the subscribe button, so that way you are notified of when I get updated with newer episodes of RRPG Side-Quests and whatever video that I decide to work on, because more support from you guys will mean that more content is coming from me in the future that you guys are not going to find anywhere else. So, until next time, gamers, this is RRPG signing off by saying Godspeed and game on, gamers. Peace out!